Good afternoon, good morning to everybody.
How you doing?
My name is Jerry Best. I'm with Pulaski Tech Police Department. I also retired from the Little Rock Police Department. I have over 33 years of doing the police thing. So one of the things that we've been doing here at Pulaski Tech is we've been working on the active shooter. Back in September, I had the opportunity to partake in a roundtable with Homeland Security at Camp Robinson, and we kind of come up with something that will work for us here in Arkansas. And what we're going to present is that program. Some of it is more geared toward faculty, but it's also those students that are here. This will work great for you as well. All right, profile of an active shooter. Active shooter is an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined or populated area. In most cases, active shooters use firearms. There's no pattern method to their selection of victims. In other words, they look for the least resistance. They have intentions to kill as many as possible, as quick as possible. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Only time that selection of a victim is their intent, they know who it's going to be, is when they have a target. Usually this comes when they have a one-on-one confrontation that has transpired for a long period of time. You are now my target and I'm coming after you. When that's the case, they'll do everything they can to accomplish that task. A lot of times we find this in domestic issues, and sometimes the mentally ill will get so obsessed with one individual that they'll do anything they can to accomplish that feat. Other than that, on random shootings, they get the simplest, easiest, less resistant. Active shooter situations are unpredictable. They evolve quickly. Typically, we immediately deploy law enforcement required to stop the shooting and minimize the harm. Because active shooter situations are often over within 10 to 15 minutes before law enforcement arrives on the scene. Now, 10 to 15 minutes with somebody inside a shooting is a long period of time. We have an advantage here. The advantage is here that the officers you see here, we are certified law enforcement officers, and and I have trained our officers on this. We do know our response time is anywhere from about a minute to 2 minutes, usually depending on where it's at, where we're at. If you notice, we stay pretty much spread out, and that's a lot of the reasons is because we can respond. Most of the time you see us here, and you see us outside. One of the main reasons we be in here because it's a center concentration of everything. Food's here, money's here, business here, some of those here. Other places, the administrative building, there's officers there, but we're also out and about. Practice for coping with an active shooter situation. Be aware of your environment. Any possible dangers. Take note of two of the nearest exits. If you're in an office, stay there, secure the door. If you're in a hallway, just common sense, get out. I'm going to kind of go over these and we'll go back. As a last resort, fight for your life. Okay? When you go in a classroom, first thing you should always do, evaluate it, look at it, look and see what you see, look if there's a place to hide, look for the places to go, always know your exits. It don't take much to know an exit. You notice on top of the doors that are exits, there's little signs that light up in red. That's everywhere you go. That's federal law if that happens. Know where they're at. Put it in the back of your mind. Even when you go into Walmart, try to pay attention to what goes on. One of the classes that we teach, that we usually do a lot for the faculty and staff, is be aware of your situation. Know what you're doing. Be aware, don't be a victim. And what that means is, look, take nothing but just a few seconds to evaluate what you got, where you're at, what you're doing, where you're going. It's a matter of safety nowadays. So no longer do we need to be naive, we need to be realistic. Realistic is shooting and killing is something that is upon us. If you're in an office, like I said, try to find a place to get secure. One of the problems we have here at this particular campus and all the campuses in Pulaski Tech, and it don't matter if it's here or it could be at Central High School, elementary school, all the doors open outward. Very, very rarely will you find a school of any sort where doors open inward. And that is because schools are designed for mass exits out of room. It's easier to push than it is to pull. Next, number 2 problem we find is a lot of schoolrooms do not have locks on the inside of the door. Now, securing this is going to be very, very difficult, and we're aware of that. Very, very rare do we have doors in classrooms that lock from the inside on any of the Plasky Tech campuses. That's something that we're working on. Okay? Common sense, you're in the hallway, you hear the shooting, get out. Go somewhere. All right. How to respond when you have an active shooter in your vicinity. One of the things that changes now than what it used to be. I want you to learn to protect yourself. Used to, especially we teachers and people in authority figures, help each other. Let's all kind of get together. Let's do what we've learned over the past shootings over the years. If you learn to protect yourself, the others will follow. Now, shooting starts. You hear it. Inside a building, it multiplies extremely. It is very, very loud. A gunshot inside a building is probably 50% louder than what it would be outside because of the echo and the dimensions of a building. It just magnifies. Once you hear it, you should already have in your mind, let's get out. Escape route. If I'm in this building, this room right here, and I hear a shooting down the hall or hear one on the 3rd floor, my first response, and your first response needs to be, get out. We used to teach hide. We used to teach find cover. These are all the things that used to be. Now, get out. Run for it. One of the reasons is it's easier to shoot a standing, sitting target than it is to hit a moving target. They're not going to chase you because they want as many victims as possible. You're no longer being submissive. You're trying to get away. You're terminal. You're making it difficult. You're not making it easy to die. They want easy. Keep that in mind. Get out. Leave this behind. Don't stop and go back and get your cell phone. I promise you, other people will have one and you can come back and get it later. But don't stop and go back and get your cell phone. And it's okay to leave your purse and your books. Okay? Don't go back and get it. You know, the funny part is people do that. They do it. All right. One of the things that we ask is this right here. When you see us coming, I want to see this. Show me, show me, show me that you ain't the bad guy. Because I'm going to be asking you in a very polite, maybe unslickly correct way to let me see your hands. Follow our instructions. Do not attempt to move wounded. Let them lay. If you're not wounded and you are able to move, move. Oh, you cruel, unsensitive individual. I know, but leave them alone. There's a reason. There's a reason. Let them go. We'll take care of it. There was, up in the northern part of the state, a guy goes into one of these temples and begins shooting people inside the temple here a few months ago. Outside was a victim. The officer gets there, first officer gets there, decides to stop and want to help the victim that's laying there shot. Well, while he's doing this, guess what? Here comes the shooter. Boom, he shoots him. So now we got what, 2? So the next officer gets there, he's got to take care of it. So the point I'm making is take care of yourself. Okay? And we'll get a little further detail into this. Hide. Plain and simple. Out of sight, out of mind. Okay? If you can't get out and you hear him down the hallway, find you a place to get. I tell you what, over the years I've learned how to crawl in tailpipe of cars. They get to pop around, you can be surprised where you can put this body. So what I'm getting at is get out the way. They're in a hurry, they're looking, they want victims. If they have to search to find you, that ain't what they want. They want to come in and say, okay, I got a room of 10. I'm out. Okay? It's pretty just high. That's all I know how to say without getting too in depth. The door issue, Virginia Tech, people were holding the doors on the inside. Remember what I told you about schools? Usually don't have locks on the inside of the door. They would hold the door on the inside where he couldn't get in. He'd come up and pull on the door if he could tug. And feel somebody on the other side, he would stop, back up and go. She'd run through the door. That's how he walked down the hallway. Pull on tug, move on. Okay? Open door, ain't nobody in here. I'm gone. I tell you, before I move on, there is one thing I want to do. Do not trap yourself or restrict your options for movement. What's that mean? Don't get in a place you can't get out of. People have a tendency to want to hide and get stuck. Like if I climb in the tailpipe of a car, I'm going to have heck getting out of it. Use your head. Hide where you can escape. Lock the door. Turn this off. Put it on silent. Because I guarantee you, once the shooting starts and it breaks out in the news, everywhere, and hey, I was hearing on the news where they got a shooter in Pulaski Tech. Well, I'm hiding right from the shooter. He's standing at the door, and my wife's calling me on the phone. And it's ringing and carrying on. What's it going to tell him? Oh! Just kind of reach up there. We all got them little silent switches on. Turn it on. Okay? Just until things get away. Okay? Remain quiet. Outside, out of mind. 911. Only time that you should call 911 is when you're safe to do so. Trust me, there'll be enough people calling. When they call, you finally get through, they're going to ask you some questions. They're going to ask you, do you know what he looked like? I don't care. Tell them. Tell them what you think. Tell them it don't matter. Black pants, got on some silver-looking shoes and some kind of gray-looking shirt. Okay. Did he have a gun? He had one of them little guns that look like you see the Army people carry. That's cool. That's okay. Tell them that. One of the things in the Colorado shooting inside the movie theater, the 911 dispatchers could hear what was transpiring inside. They could relay that onto the officers outside. Because during incidents such as these, there's such a chaos and such activities going on, there's communications too. There's people talking, yelling, screaming, whatever the case may be. The turmoil that is transpiring during an incident like this is unmeasurable. Okay? Hit 911, lay it down. It's recorded, they can hear it. 911 systems are designed that they can pick up a whole lot very, very well. And it don't take much. When an incident like this happens, one of the things, it becomes so chaotic that you can't imagine. You cannot sit here and try to describe what it's like. Your most ultimate fear is right there in front of you at this point, the possibility of dying. Nobody's really looking forward to it. It's not something we want. It's something going to happen, but we prefer not to rush it. We prefer nature to take care of it. So when you see that there's a possibility of danger, your adrenaline begins to really kick up, and you get excited, and people get to talking, and etc. In a chaotic situation like this, there's several things that you're going to come across. One of them is going to be sound from shooting, etc. People yelling and screaming. Smells. Smells will be a big thing. You'll smell gunpowder. You'll smell fear. You'll smell people being wounded. You'll smell the smell of death. All these odors will be going through you at this time. Everything that you could ever imagine being your worst nightmare is taking place in a matter of seconds. So if you have problems communicating, 911, lay the phone down and let nature work. All right, last resort, something new. Some of us that been around a few years, have always been taught, submit to your attacker. Give him what he wants, let him go. It's all good and fine, but them days are pretty much over with. He's not there to take you to dinner. He's not there to bring you roses, and he ain't there to take your money. He's there to take your life. You can't get out, you can't hide. It's now, it's here. One of the things that we're finding is, fight. Do what you got to do. You're going to die anyway. He's there to kill you. Now, how you die is up to you. But our suggestion is do anything you can. One of the things that really sounds bad, but it's kind of new, kind of true to it, is submission in instances like this or death. When you're submissive and you give it in, his intentions are to kill you. But remember, he wants submissive, simple, easy victims. You're no longer an easy victim. He may back out and go on. Afraid you're going to try to take the gun away from him. You've disrupted what he's already planned in his mind. Okay? I know it sounds crazy, but what do you got to lose? And every victim before they died said, please don't. Please don't work. When we get there, and this is when it first starts, our job and what we train is, and this is pretty much any law enforcement around the country, first officers on the scene have one obligation. Go to the shooter. Got to stop it. We got to neutralize the incident. Wherever it is, we got to stop it. That's our job, neutralize it. They're not going to stop and render aid. They're not going to stop and give you directions. They're going to come through. Look, I got hands, man, and there ain't nothing in them. If I got an ink pen in my hand, my suggestion is you need to let go. Even of an ink pen, let go. Because he will ask you in a very blunt way, please remove that item from your hand while he can proceed forward. Remember, make it easy for him to go by you. Don't be a restriction. Okay? And that goes, I don't care if you're at Walmart, if you're at Kroger, whatever. If it happens, that's what they're there for. They're going to come by them. They want to make sure that you ain't it. Please, if you don't get nothing else out of this, get this. You'll hear, I kind of wrote some of this back when I worked for Little Rock Police Department. We started this after Columbine, and we did the 4-officer deal. That's usually on the bigger departments because they can get together 2 or 3 at a time. Here, we may only have 1 or 2. So just understand it'll be a continuous flow. Okay? Officers will be wearing funny looking outfits that look like soldiers, and some of them will look like just regular plainclothes people. We have them both. They'll let you know without a doubt who they are. There won't be bashful, I can promise you. You'll hear yelling and screaming and hollering and commands and do this and that and go on about your business. They're going to shout commands. One of the things that we find in incidents, a lot of times people look at us as being, we're here to save you from your incident. Okay? We're here, and we are. That's what we're doing. But they want to come up and grab and hold for safety. When I get here and they're shooting down the hallway, you come up and you grab me, I'm going to have to ask you to let go. I will ask you. First time. Second time, I'm going to make you let go. Remain calm, follow officer's instructions. We all know that's kind of crap, but we would like for that to happen. Put down any items in your hands, such as I said. There it is again. I keep seeing that. Y'all keep seeing this. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Keep hands visible all the time. Avoid making movements toward us. Make sure. I don't want to have to deal with you. I don't want to deal with you. I want to go deal with the problem. When I'm coming through, you're making my job difficult, then we're going to have to make it difficult, so I got to move forward. Make it as easy and simple as possible, because I could get there and maybe help save somebody else, your friend, a neighbor, or somebody that, even your family member. Don't make me have to deal with you when I don't have to. One of the things the 911 operator is going to ask you is location of the shooter, number of shooters, physical description, yada, 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 which you've already talked about. Last one, number of potential victims in a location. We have found over the past that the shooter stays where he's more comfortable and can do the most damage. Columbine, it was the library. We found that when they stay there, and that's where they do most of their damage, that's usually where we find them. That's where they were found when the officers did penetrate the building, get inside. That's where they were at, where they did the most damage. That's the reasoning for that. If you were in a classroom and there were 7 or 8 people shot in your classroom and you got out, that's very important. That tells us where we're going to go first, if we don't hear it. So, when we get here, if you're laying shot in the hallway, I'm gonna step over you. Sorry, I'm not gonna step on you, but I'm gonna step over you. I know it sounds cold, I really do, I understand. But I want you to understand what's gonna happen next. We're gonna go to the shooter. Then behind us, what happens is officers get together with medical personnel and they begin to what they call rescue teams. Officer comes, medical people behind, they start triaging and removing. They do it under safety. They want the officers, the first ones there, go deal with the threat. We'll deal with the injured as we get there because trust me, we have one here, there'll be a whole lot of people showing up in little cars with lights on the top. From ambulance, fire trucks, and the police. So there'll be a lot of people here that get here. Those of us that get here first are going to deal with what we have to deal with, so don't panic. If you're laying there shot, don't panic. Be kind of glad to see me jump over because that means there's somebody be coming in behind me soon. We're going to ask you as you leave. You'll leave the building. You're thinking, well, if the shooter's running by me, he's got his hands up, just like I did. But one, let's be honest. You really think you going out and the shooter's behind you, you're not fixing to tell somebody? That's him right here. Let's say he does get out. The problem is when you go through that door, guess what you're going to run into? You betcha. Those are going to be the ones saying, hold up, come here. Think about Columbine. When the kids were coming out of school, who did they meet when they came out? The officer standing outside the door. It happens every time. It's not new to us. We understand that he can do this just as well as anybody else. That's okay. That means he ain't shooting at the moment. I'm okay with that. We got a surprise for him downstairs. So don't panic. Okay? One of the things we're going to ask you to do is we'll ask you to go to an additional place and stand by and ask you not to leave. Why? It's because we have victims, we'll have to get these victims ID. Shouldn't be much of an issue here because we all have stolen IDs. A lot of us have to have driver's license, et cetera, et cetera. Some places, and there'll be some people that won't. We'll still need to get these people identified. All right. Indicators, potential violence of employee/students. It's not something that just snap. They just don't get up one morning and say, I'm going to be a mass killer today. It's not, it don't happen that way. It's usually a long, drawn-out process. It usually takes several months, and there's a lot of indicators to what's going on. An example, Columbine shooters took 9 to 10 months before they actually did what they were going to do. They planned this out. Matter of fact, they talk about the school actually helped them because they give them a nickname. Called them the trench coat mafia. They started wearing trench coats to school, and the reason they did that so they could carry their guns and their explosives into the school. Instead of trying to stop it or say something about it, they labeled them and thought it was funny. Well, it turned out not to be funny. All right, indicators. These are the extreme. We all know somebody does probably one or two of these things at least, but remember, it's the extreme. Abnormal. The extra abnormal, okay? Increase of alcohol, drug use. Most of our mass shooters have been found with a lot of prescription narcotics inside their system. That's not uncommon. All right. Not showing up for work, school, the appearance is going down. We all know that's that are the changes. Not always go down, but it may change. Example, the Columbine. They changed their appearance. Change of policies. Even students get upset over our policies. It's one thing to be upset over, it's another thing to be obsessed with it. You're obsessed with it. It just really, really upsets you. Also goes with violating the same policy, increased mood swings, unstable emotional response. The last one, explosive behavior. Go totally ballistic, crazed, 1,000-yard stare, look, nuts. That is a good indicator we may have a problem. Okay? Now, suicidal, they don't so much talk about it. But what they do is they start arranging for the after. For example, I'm going to leave I'm going to say, hey man, look, if something happens to me later on, I'm going to leave you my truck. What's the crap with that? Or I'm getting my, I've been to, you know, I got everything worked out in my bank. Will you make sure that my kids are taken care of? It's not telling you he's gonna commit suicide, but it's telling you, I'm thinking about it. Something's gonna happen, okay? A lot of them like to talk about it. Talk about violence, talk about committing. They pay attention to what goes on. If you stop and think, usually when we have one, we start having 2, 3, 4 of the same type of incidents a lot of times. They feed off each other. Virginia Tech shooter, his major thing, what he was wanting to do was finish where Columbine left off. So he was aware of what's going on. A lot of times they're talking about them. On the social networking, they're talking about it. They want to brag about it. It's there. We're finding where some of the students that do this are writing about it. Write stories about it. Maybe quote unquote in their mind fiction, but they're writing about it. They got to tell it. They got to put it down on paper somewhere. They got to put it out on the internet. They're telling it. Secret Service did a study of 100 mass shootings. Out of that 100, about 86 of them, somebody knew about prior to the shooting. Out of that, guess how many of them actually called law enforcement to stop it? 4. Everybody else blew it off. Blowing it off gets people killed. I hate that this is what we've come to, but apparently it is. But you know what our goal here is? I want to die of old age. I don't want to die of a man-made killer. That's our goal. We come into this world knowing that our time is limited and God has decided when we're going to do those. And I don't want man to determine when I do. I chose a heck of a profession for that thought process. But, and that's what this is about. I want you to survive. And I want you thinking while you're in a restaurant, look around, find the exits. What am I going to do? You got family to take care of. You got friends you got. Even at your home. Even if you go to Walmart, take that half second and evaluate your surroundings. Don't blow it off. Don't ever think it's me. There's nobody that leaves their house in the morning and say, I think I want to be a victim today. I'm going to run around with a sign saying, hey, I want to be a victim, come shoot me. There's nobody who does that. So you never know when it presents itself. And the best way to keep you from being a victim is to stay alert, be aware, and always predict and try to pretend like it's happening. What are you going to do?